sat on a
This is gonna be quick. I'm gonna take you a little highbrow, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so Aline Kominsky-Crumb just passed away recently. She is somebody who started the whole autobiographical comics thing that supposedly just recently started. And so she's been doing it since the early 80s. And I got this. One of the things that I noticed on top of the Mike Mignola stuff and the Jim Lee stuff, and noticing how everyone's doing, they were doing, all these comic book people, all these comic book professionals were doing artwork the way, if they were left to their own devices, were allowed to do. And absolutely none of it would be as polished the way it gets to us in comic shops or in bookstores. And that's something that I liked. One of the reasons why I got this book is back in the day, you would get lithographs, you would get editions of lithographs, and there would be like 750 copies of whatever, and they would be numbered. Well, this particular comic is exactly like a lithograph. It's number 490 of 750, and so, oh yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Okay. No. This is the Aline's comics are not for anybody under.
They're not PG rated.
They're not PG. So this particular comic was about how this particular family has moved to France, and it's real. It's their family. This is Aline. This is Robert Crumb. This is their daughter Sophie. They all do comics. They all draw themselves in this comic. And this was $40, okay? In 2021, I got this comic, and I'm sitting there, and I'm reading it, and I'm getting pissed off at Robert. I'm being annoyed by the way Aline draws herself, because she draws herself completely hideous. She chooses to do this. This is a choice on her own part. But she draws everything else about herself so intricate and whimsical and divine that she gets past. Sophie is a combination. Sophie is a great artist, but she's like her dad. She has a type, and if you know anything about Robert Crumb, he has a type. So of course his daughter has a type, which is mixed martial arts wrestlers or fighters. Okay. And so she draws in the middle of this comic. She just has studies of all these different things in color, okay, and it's great. It's like a sketchbook. It's like a little point in like a painting, an old Renaissance painting, where you get to like rest a while before you go on to the rest of the painting, and it's great. And she is anti-COVID. She's they're all anti-Trump. But Bob over here is a classic boomer and doesn't believe COVID's a thing, does all these things. But in the comic, you find out why that's the case. And so as I'm reading this like 32-page comic, I'm getting all this information about this American family in France. And I'm at the beginning of the comic, I'm thinking, oh my God, they are those Americans. And by the end of it, I'm going, okay, well, at least they're in France, And then, so at the bottom line, basically, is that you actually understand where Bob is coming from. This thing was $40, okay? And I don't regret that. What I regret was looking at the pile of superhero comics next to me that were waiting to be read, that I felt like, was a chore to read. This thing pissed me off, made me happy, made me whatever, all the way through, gave me all the feelings, and it was $40. It was money well spent. And the one thing that I do love is that on the back cover, you have Aline and Bob, and Bob loves Aline. Okay, Aline recently passed away from pancreatic cancer, and she's been a health nut her whole life, and that's one of the reasons why she was completely health conscious during COVID, which I did not know that was the main reason. Because she's a cancer survivor, And so it was just really great. So if you have an opportunity to find this comic, even though there was only 750 of them out in the world, spend the money, get this, and you'll actually understand some of your boomer people. Even though Bob is definitely anti-Trump. So this book right here, that they were all giggling at, is supposed to be Aline's best. Like, if you were going to be introduced to Aline Crumb's work, this is the best way to do it. Her nom de plume that she would call herself in her own comics was Bunch. And within the first 3 pages, let me back up. So she does this thing with feminism where she doesn't talk about feminism. She just tells her story. And you pick up feminism as you go. And within the first 3 pages, she's actually raped.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but she lets the reader figure that out on the basis of everything. And the way she reacts to it is very much a sign of the times. The way that she draws and renders everybody reacting to it is very much a sign of the times. And that's only from, I don't know, she was a kid in the 60s. She actually, I got as far as her touching George Harrison, which was a great story. I love that. And, yeah, this is the prettiest picture that she's ever drawn of herself. And she has such a bad mental image of herself, she actually transfers that onto herself in her comics. Okay, but everybody else is, rendered, pretty well. If you want to see a really good rendering of her in comic form, you need to get her. You need to get any of Bob Crumb's sketchbooks. He was drawing her all the time, and he was also drawing her thought bubbles all the time. All the comments that she wanted, like take the wrinkles out, make sure my butt looks cute, and all this stuff. So it's funny that she was telling him how she wanted to look, but when it came time to draw herself, she would not do any of that. So that's important to know if you decide to pack a lunch and spend a day with this. I highly encourage everybody to read. If you're gonna read something that's not a superhero, you should read Aline Crumb.
How'd you hear about her?
I heard about her. I've always known about her, only because there was a article that was in Bitch magazine about this superhero that supposedly came out of East Germany called Octobriana, and that's not the point. The point is that she was a part of this whole feminist group in San Francisco that was just doing comics and printing comics the way they wanted to print them.
Got it.
And this is before she even met Robert Crumb, okay? Mm-hmm. And so she and, God, I can't think of her name now, but anyway, Aline and all these other women were doing these comics, and in that article they talked about them for a good hot second, because it's like trying to talk about punk music without bringing up the Clash or bringing up,
got it,
Iggy Pop.
Yeah. Okay.
She would be the Iggy Pop of the whole idea of autobiographical comics. So, so that's why she's a big deal.